Well, hello and welcome. My name is Velma. You can connect with me at velmanolds.com. This is all about your leadership chat. What does that mean? You get to listen in on valuable insights from valuable leaders just like you. I want to encourage you to go ahead and subscribe so that you never miss another episode. And if this is of value to you, please share the nuggets that you're going to take away from all these great leaders. Hey, please give a big welcome to my special guest and your valuable leader, Dr. Jesse D. Galvan. Dr. Jesse, welcome to your leadership chat.
Thank you so much, and truly an honor to be here. And thank you for the acknowledgement of doctor. It's still fresh. The ink is still very fresh on that, but a lifelong pursuit. 4 years and a month was the academic timeline. But on the 29th of September, I defended. And so I am now Dr. Jesse D. Galvan. So yes, ma'am. Thank you for that. And it's wonderful to be here. Wonderful to be part of this this segment. And I look forward to sharing. So thank you.
Yeah, no, my pleasure. And truly congratulations on it. Getting any level of education, learning, accomplishments there is worthy of taking a moment and giving yourself a pat on the back, but giving others the opportunity to also acknowledge your hard work and dedication. So congratulations.
Thank you.
And it's Dr. Jesse Galvan. Galvan
Correct.
Being Hispanic. Did I say
that? That is correct. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes,
Just
ma'am.
mi español es muy poco.
So good. So no, but I appreciate that. As mentioned, it was Galvan forever.
Yeah.
Dad of Hispanic, Mexican heritage.
Yeah.
So in the Army, and when Dad reported in, it was like Private Galvan, move over there, and so it's been ever since. And then when he retired and they went home to San Antonio, it was Galvan.
Yeah,
still Galvan to us because I was still serving. And then we moved to Santa Fe, New Mexico, very Hispanic population here, and I got called to the carpet. Is it Galvan or Galvan? And it's Galvan. So for the last 5 years, it's been Galvan. So yes, thank you for that.
Oh, no problem. I get people always say with my last name, Knowles, and I always say, just think Seminoles, and just go that route for the Florida Seminoles. Just think Knowles that way, even though the K is silent. So, but it's all good. People have a heart for wanting to do it right, and I always look at the heart.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, no, pleasure. I would love, and you've started already, but I'd love for you to share a little bit about who is Dr. Jesse, and who are you, and a little bit about what you do.
Sure. Thank you very much. So an Army veteran, I had the privilege of wearing an Army uniform for 30 years. I retired in the rank of colonel in 2018. I had the privilege of serving all over the world. The last count was 27 moves, 5 deployments, two and a half combat tours, two children, my wife, who runs the family, the absolute matriarch who makes it all happen. 33 years of marriage, 38 years we've known each other. Yes, she's a very lucky woman. The kids grew, traveling all over the world, and we have settled here in Santa Fe. Former mentor and boss of mine, presented me an offer you can't refuse. So I now serve as the director of Protective Force Operations and Training for the Los Alamos National Laboratory.
Wow.
Here in Los Alamos. I live in Santa Fe, so I commute every day.
Yeah, wow.
And passions are people, engaging with people. I just completed my doctorate, as mentioned, in organizational leadership. Lifelong learner, lots of academic mentors, military mentors, non-military mentors. And so I've been very blessed with succeeding in the military and then succeeding in this job and getting to know people like you, Velma, who have allowed me to share and to learn from you and your great work that you're doing. So, again,
you are too kind. And let me say a few things. One, thank you to you and to your family for your service to our country. I will, I don't ever want that to go unspoken and unacknowledged. So I really want to acknowledge that. Thank you for that. That's a sacrifice.
Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you for that. And also I so appreciate you. You're so kind. When we, got connected through a mutual colleague, Brittany, It was like we'd known each other forever. We just
Really?
kind of
Yes.
hit it off, and I felt like I had I'll just say a brother, not a big brother or older brother, because I don't want you to think you're bigger or older. I always get in trouble when I say that. You're my
Oh,
bigger brother.
all good. No,
But
all good.
yeah, but
But
I know that we're going to learn so much from
yeah,
you, and I appreciate that.
thank you. And just let me say, if I might, my
Yeah.
response when people thank me for my service, it was a labor of love. It
Yeah.
truly was. And, on behalf of, myself and my family. And
Yeah.
so, but thank you. And when people do thank me for my service, I sincerely mean it when I say
Mhm.
it was a labor of love.
Yeah.
And the beauty about the military, as in your industry and what you do, is the networking piece. And we've met and we've talked about there are no happenstance meetings. Things
Right.
happen for a reason. I just had that conversation with my training manager this morning
Wow.
about some events that happened in his previous life. But
Sure.
we were meant to meet, and
Yes.
it's meant for me to learn from you. So I'm looking forward to this. So thank you very much.
All
Yeah,
right. Well,
Brittany did good on this one. So yes,
yeah, I know, right? We just got to give her an A+ on that
no
one.
doubt, no doubt.
She's a gem. I appreciate her so much too. Well, let's kick this off. Folks are wondering, who is a valuable leader in your mind and in your life. And so I always talk about a valuable leader, someone that's made a tremendous impact. And I always like to think that it's a positive impact, but I know that we have folks in our life that we would say, boy, that was a valuable lesson, and they were a valuable person, because I know I don't want to end up doing that. But whoever it is that comes to the top of your mind, I'd love for you, Dr. Jesse, to share who's a valuable leader in your life, and why would you say that about them?
Before I mention who this person is, the valuable leader, and again, and I've mentioned this when I have the opportunity of speaking to especially young, when I was the assistant commandant of the MP school to brand new lieutenants into the military police corps regiment.
Yeah,
You can learn as much from a poor leader as you
that's right.
do a good leader, and you learn the things not to. You see exactly how not to do something, and
Yeah.
so and turning that and making that valuable to you is very is an amazing way to put it. So thank you for doing that. I'm going to have to steal that shamelessly from you when I speak to others about leadership and learning experiences.
Yeah.
But on my 45 50-minute drives in the morning, there's a lot to contemplate, a lot to think about as I'm preparing for work mentally.
Sure.
And this morning, as well as other mornings in preparation for this, the one that comes to mind is the Right Reverend Susan Sowers, who is a retired colonel.
Okay.
Now, the impact she had, and this is interesting because when you come into the military, you build your formations, you build your organizations, you build your camaraderie, you all get to know each other. And then there becomes the very mostly friendly banter between organizations and even branches within the military.
Yeah.
So you have the infantry, the armor, the field artillery, the combat arms guys. You have the military police, the engineers, the CBRN, the transportation folks, all of that. And so there's always this banter, these rivalries that happen.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was an operations officer, the S3 of a battalion, the largest MP battalion at the time in the Army in Germany, our battalion fell under a transportation brigade within a theater support command. And the whole concept there was when units went to war, the theater support command set kind of what's called in the rear area, old terminology here. And they would ensure that the combat forces and the supplies got to the front lines for the combat troops to fight. Well, as we moved into asymmetric battle, the battle is really kind of everywhere. So the military police corps regiment was responsible for securing the non-front lines. And so we fell into this theater support command under a transportation brigade.
Okay.
So military police, commanded by a transportation brigade. And Susan Sowers, was the brigade commander.
Right.
That's another anomaly military always think of, the Pattons of the world, the MacArthurs of the world, the Eisenhowers of the world. And now we have, senior 4-star general female officers who have broken the ceiling and are moving along. Well, this one would have been a general officer without question, but she had another calling. She served her country, and then she went into the cloth. She became a priest in the Episcopal faith. But during her time as a brigade commander, she had an amazing impact on me simply because of how she led. Knowing, again, great critical thought, great situation awareness and understanding, great engagement skills, people skills. She just had it. And, the old E.F. Hutton commercial, when E.F. Hutton talked, people listen. She
Right.
just had that. Now, she wasn't a very dynamic, boisterous, charismatic person. She was charismatic to a degree,
Right.
but the quiet, almost a quiet professional. And people just absolutely loved, I hate using that word because it is overused, but loved her because of the person that she was.
Yeah.
And she showed that being a senior leader in a huge organization, you can be human, you can engage, you can have feelings, you can have humility, in addition to being, a senior commander in the military.
Wow.
But she so profound, as I still use a number of her sayings when I built you build either leader philosophies or command philosophies. And I still use some of her sayings today as I meet those that are joining our organization. And as I'm responsible for the operational aspect, new members that come in and work for me, I use her acronyms. The two of them that stick and resonate with me and will always resonate with me are one, and excuse the language here, but you have to have gas, you have to give a shit, you have to give a stuff, you have to care. And two, you have to go mad every day, MAD. You have to make a difference. As you mentioned, it should be a positive difference. So I use those when I'm talking to people. And the other thing is, I've told those who've worked for me, I expect 100%. She told me this one day. I was feeling sorry for myself, And she said, Jesse, I expect 100% from you every day. 100%. I'm like, okay. She goes, now your 100% on Monday could be here, and on Tuesday could be here, and Wednesday could be here. But I want all you have every day.
Yeah.
And I use that. I have
that right there. I mean, that's beautiful, because it is so true. Every day, you and I are going to have highs and lows and mediums, but with wherever you fall on that, if you're giving your 100%, you're giving your all. I love that analogy. It's just give 100% wherever you fall, but do it every day.
Yeah. And she that's the human part and the humility part that she recognizes is you're not going to be this she knew that. And as a younger officer, you kind of expect that of yourself. And if you expect it of yourself, you expect it of your juniors. Right. And when they're not performing, then it's like you're not helping. You're not contributing to the organization. You're bringing the organization down. And she, again, the insight, the foresight, the self-awareness that she had, she taught that to us. And boom, the light went off. So yeah.
I love that.
Very powerful.
What I mean, that's such an excellent example of how when someone makes such an impact in your life, and it's so positive, that years go by and you find yourself speaking their words into others.
Yes.
That's beautiful. So I'm like anxious to want to know. I'm like, okay, so what else did she say?
Well, so again, great sense of humor. And so because she was the brigade commander of a transportation organization, somebody came up with, calling her a mean mother trucker.
Oh my.
And she says, look, you can call me that, but you better not let your tongue get all twisted and say something very close and different to that. And you're like, okay, man, we won't do that. But just, again, she was out, she traversed the battlefield, did what we call battlefield circulation control. She had a massive organization, and we separated all over Germany.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing that, resonated with me is when our battalions was separated from them and was deployed while her organization, the brigade and the Transportation Theater Support Command, stayed in Germany. As a military police unit, we were called to go to Iraq. Well, she came to visit, as commanders do, knowing full well that we were working for another brigade. But as a colonel, we belonged to her. So when we were done with the deployment, we would go back to Germany and work for her. But she came to visit. And she made it a point that she went out on missions with our soldiers. Again, she had nothing to do, technically nothing to do with this, because we were working for another military police higher headquarters.
Right.
Went out on mission, went out to all of our forward operating bases, spent time with soldiers, spent time with me, sat on a folding chair in the middle of the desert, and just talking, grooming, mentoring. How are you doing, Jesse? What's going on? How can I help from the rear, kind of a thing. And so again, she just meant that much to all of us, and we really had all of us had a great deal of respect for her. We went on a big run, on the forward operating base, and she led that. So it was just her engagement that really resonated with me. Now, again, being a leader, it ain't all rainbows and unicorns. There were some very tough times.
Yeah.
But the way she handled those, unlike some of my other leaders, was with decorum. You praise in public and you chew the hind part, in private.
Yeah.
And I was trying to think if there was a time when I got my butt chewed by her. There was a time she was ready to launch. And it was a stressful time, building up to war, getting ready, all of the above, long hours, late nights. And I think she saw that I was tired. She knew what I was capable of, and she saw that I was tired. And instead of, poking me in the chest and grilling me, she kind of let off and then let me regain my composure, let me do whatever. And then a day or two later, she came back and asked the question, and I was able to answer it a little more appropriately, I guess. But I just remember there was an engagement where I knew I probably should have had my head lopped off, and I didn't, because she had the wherewithal to think, all right, this is probably not the time.
Yeah.
And I need him concentrating on getting the organization ready to go to war in. So she waited on that. So again, just situational awareness, understanding.
Ooh, love that. Yeah, I love that situational awareness, and she showed up. I mean,
God, yeah, absolutely.
Should show up, not just when there's a crisis, but show up in prep for it, to check in, to support. Like you said, she was like, how can I help you? So situational awareness on knowing how to respond when you do show up. Hands down. Love it. Love it.
The old management technique or skill, management by walking around.
Yeah. Yeah.
We call it leadership by walking around.
Yeah.
And of course I learned that from all of my leaders. There's another great leader that we could talk about if we have time, but I tell people, when I was the assistant commandant on the MP school, that I would walk around the halls of the MP school, popping into different classes, courses, checking on instructors, checking on the classes. And I would tell people, the assistant commandant, the RAC, the regimental assistant commandant, doesn't wander. He checks the pulse. I was checking the pulse of the organization. And I even say that here. People won't laugh. What are you doing wandering the house? I don't wander. I'm checking the pulse. So I learned that from leaders like,
you know the saying, all those that wander are not lost, right? You're not lost.
Exactly.
You're just checking the pulse here.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, you got to make sure that the heartbeat of the organization is working, and the heartbeat of every organization is the people.
Agreed. And I've often said to young lieutenants, especially, you can lead an organization from behind your desk on a computer. You can, not very effectively.
Right.
You got to be out with them. You got to be in the cold. You got to be in the hot. You got to be in the suck with them.
You got to show up.
There, you now know what they're feeling and what they need. And so, but I learned that from, again, leaders like Colonel Susan Sauer. So,
All right. Wow. Wonderful. I love that. Love that story. And what a great demonstration of everyday leadership. So tell me, I always love to kind of pivot and say, what a valuable leader is, because you've been blessed to have that person or people in your life that has, helped you to say, I'm Dr. Jesse, and I'm who I am today because of these people in my life. Now, my second question is, so as you look forward, how are you paying it forward to other people to say, I want them to have that type of valuable leader in their life so that they could grow and develop and be the leader that they are made to be? How do you do that?
Yeah, super question. And thank you for that. So trying to pay it forward, again, as mentioned, one of my passions is leadership. The other are people.
Yeah.
And so when I transitioned from the Army, my transition was very good. First of all, I left out of DC. I departed the military out of DC, where I transitioned using the Executive Transition Assistance Program. And so built for executive, colonels, general officers, senior command sergeants, major. And so we had a very good program. Unfortunately, that program across the nation isn't always that good. And so people asked, a good friend of mine said, so after I transitioned about a month or two after, settling into this job, he goes, well, where's the AAR, the after action review, the after action report? I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, yeah, on your transition, you go, there are a bunch of us that are still in, and we want to know from you your experiences. I'm like, well, that's a great idea, because I would call and talk to people all the time, but I had nothing on paper. And so I wrote about an 8-page after action review on all of the things that I thought were important that my wife Sheila and I experienced. And it was hard for me to talk about a lot of that because I never went through the job application process, because I was picked by the former boss, general manager here, to come work here. So I didn't have to go through the interview process. My resume was just about done. I had to tweak it here and there. They needed a resume on my behalf to send up to our corporate headquarters to see who this guy was. But I was interviewed basically, or had lunch with the COO and with the CEO before I was hired on. Anyway, I didn't have to go through that whole process, but lessons learned from others, I wrote that down.
Right.
And so even today, over the last 4 or 5 years, it was mainly those that I knew that I transitioned that I would have conversations with. And it was either one phone call to a series of phone calls to me, reading resumes, cover letters, and sending emails to the networks that I now belong to, saying, I have an individual with this skill set who wants to go to this area, is looking for this type of a salary, and what do you got for him? And I will get phone calls, emails back, and then I'll do the connection. So that's kind of what I'm doing now to try to pay it forward. I've been asked to be an advisory board member to an amazing organization called the Leader Transition Institute, founded and led by a veteran and an Army spouse. And the trials and tribulations that she and her husband went through, she said, we got to do something. So I have helped them. And as an advisory board member, I'm at distance. So we wrote a white paper on why the Leader Transition Institute and organizations, nonprofits like them, can benefit service members who are leaving the military and enhance and help them with mindsets, resumes, understanding their finances. It runs the gamut.
Wow. What a necessary, it's so necessary, because you've spent, especially for someone like 30 plus years of your life serving the country and dedicating, making major sacrifices, and then to have to transition into a totally different type of environment. What resources are there? And
so that is the keynote program in the Leader Transition Institute. And it's called Changing Focus from We to Me. Counterintuitive to a military member. Totally counter, because it's not about us.
Right.
That's another thing we can talk about. And I beat that into young officers' heads. It's not about you. It's about the greater good. Well, now that we're leaving, it is about you, and it's about your family. And so, and when you've done that for 20, 25, 30 years, your efforts, everything have been about the institution, the organization, the individuals, not you. And so we were programmed to think that way. Well, now you're leaving, and all of a sudden you're now concentrating and focusing your efforts on you. How do you do that? And it sounds easy, but it's not.
No, it's a whole flip of your mindset.
Absolutely.
From we, one for all for one type of thing. It's all about we together, to now me. And what is the best route and journey now for me that I've served up to that point? That's such a it sounds so simple, but it's so
Yeah.
profound that I think sometimes we take things like that for granted. It's the same thing coming out of college or coming out of education, right? After, so many years of study and then having to transition into the workforce. What we're finding now is all the things that, they don't teach you the power skills of communication, of connection, of handling conflict, critical conversations, leadership, truly leadership. They teach you the industry type of basic education. It's an institution versus you're going into an environment. And how do you build those relationships from IQ to EQ is what we're faced with today.
That's so well put. And absolutely, and so the Leader Transition Institute, she got that, they get that, and
Yeah.
so they try to instill, and some of the best parts of the program are taking type A dudes and dudettes like me,
Dudes and dudes.
putting us in positions we're not uncomfortable positions, taking us out of our comfort zones.
Sure.
My wife's an artist, and she loves it here in New Mexico, and so she's thriving. But so one of the parts of the program is it's one of these paint deals where and it's all Zoom. They'll go to large installations. They'll take it, but it's mainly by Zoom, and it's a Thursday night to a Sunday, and it's all Zoom, and you're taking these courses. One of the courses is you paint. Well, yeah. I'm not a painter. I'm an artist in that I'm a musician. I play the trumpet, but I don't paint. Right. And so talk about taking me out of my comfort zone. And so there's an instructor, and you're going to paint a lighthouse. And so you draw the circle, and then you paint it this color. And right. I'm thinking, oh my God, I have too much paint on my brush. Oh my God, it's the wrong color. Oh, I mean, and you're like, I'm stressing, and I'm sitting behind my computer, and it's water-based colors. So I'm running out, trying to get more water, my wife was cracking up when I told her that I was doing this. She was actually away for the weekend. But it's those kinds of things that they very systematically, critically, deliberately do to take us out of our comfort zones. Okay, we went through that.
Yeah.
You can do this now. And it's, again, a very deliberate, very well put together program. So, wow. Emotional intelligence, got to have it. Cultural intelligence, social. We don't teach those. And I talk about these things all the time to those, my mentors, of, when we're receiving young men and women in. I talk about this to my children, adult children, having situational awareness, understandings, taking a step back and critically thinking, what are the impacts of your actions on others, and knowing and understanding what others are doing, and how, how you move forward to the left or the right, how that's going to affect others and the outcome on behalf of the organization and stakeholders. So it's been learned over the years. No doubt.
And what a great way to pay it forward with a transition, a transition plan, a way for people to move from one focus of all about we to now a focus about me, in a sense that it's not selfish. It's self-care, and it's good for, now your future, for the impact that you're going to make in a different environment. So kudos to you for finding that way, or that way finding you to pay it forward.
That was it. That was truly it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome, Jesse. Awesome. All right. Well, I want to give you an opportunity, because when folks listen in, they always say, I love the big takeaways, love to find out what's the one big thing that is on that valuable leader's mind that they would say, if I could tell the audience, the listeners, one thing, wherever they are in their season of life, this is what I would tell them as a big takeaway. What would that be to help them become more valuable as a leader?
Humility.
Yeah. Drop the mic.
Yeah, really. So the institution I came from, at a very young age, you were taught to be the gregarious, the charismatic. I am, I'm follow me, on the hill, and and it's, so how is somebody like that going to have humility? Well, I learned it again, people like Colonel Susan Sowers. She may have not been that, beat your chest, follow me, but we followed her because of how she led. Yeah. And she did have humility. And I kind of expressed that earlier. But I will tell you that leaders were not perfect. And it's very hard for us to admit that, when there are faults. But I see posts on LinkedIn all the time about, the leaders need to be these different things, and all the good ones have. A leader needs to be, humble. There needs to be some humility associated with what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because when you're not, then you're not approachable. And Colin Powell said, when a soldier stops bringing you their problems, you stop leading.
Yeah.
So if you're going to be all of that and all verbose and, even obnoxious to some degree, people are going to stop coming to you and asking you for assistance. And that's not why we lead. We lead to provide, provide the right tools, the right resources, the right environment so that people can grow.
Yeah.
And when they grow, they're growing to be you, to take your place. And when you're incapable of providing that to them, you're not leading, you're managing. And so, humility.
Wow.
Yeah, humility.
Beautiful. Well, and very well said. It's so true. If you're not approachable, if people can't come to you, then it's very difficult for you to lead them because they won't want to follow you. And so drop the mic.
Agreed. Yeah.
On humility.
Yeah. And again, people like Colonel Susan said, we wanted to.
Right. Oh, I love that. It's a want
we wanted to be like her.
Right.
Like
what a great distinction, because you need to follow your leader, especially when you're in that type of life and death situation.
Yes.
And you have to support the man and the woman on the right and on the left of you. But you're saying we wanted to, and that's a big difference between what you need to do and what you want.
Agreed. Absolutely agree. Yeah, absolutely.
It's that whole, it's that whole concept in the workforce today. Do you want people to be compliant, right? They have to do these things, so they show up because they have to, they're complying. Or do you want commitment? They want to be there. They want to do what they can to follow you as that leader. It's the same principle of the need.
So well put. Yeah. And again, I have that challenge here, and just trying to, hey, look, we do it because we get paid, right? But the harsh reality is, people depend on you, and you should want to, be there to serve, be there to be the organization that, heaven forbid something happens,
right?
They know you're here, they know you're capable, they know you're competent, that you can address a threat to the lab. Wow. And what an amazing opportunity you have. So don't think about the paycheck and the benefits. Think about, the huge responsibility bestowed on you and the privilege you have to serve the lab, the state, and the nation as part of our nation's weapons program. So trying to make a young man or young woman think that way. We just keep talking it. So they'll come around.
No. And when you're not just talking to their head, you're talking to their heart. And that is what's going to move people to an emotional commitment. It's when we address the heart of the matter. So beautifully said. Nelson Mandela says so well, he says, if you speak to a man in his language, he will understand. But if you speak to a man in the language that is his language, important to him, he will go to the hill for you. I mean, beautifully. I botched that up, but of course, it's well said by Nelson Mandela.
No, fair enough. Fair enough.
So tell us, how can listeners learn about you and follow you, find out more about you and the work that you're doing? Please share.
Thank you. So I'm on LinkedIn. I'm a big LinkedIn guy. Just type in Jesse Galvan and you'll see a picture of my mugshot and, all my activity. I really am a huge LinkedIn guy. I think that's a great resource. My wife manages her Facebook account. I just happen to every now and again and look and we'll comment on something, but really it is LinkedIn. And very, very shortly, because I've finally completed this academic venture, I do own my own business, leadership, lasting leadership, lasting legacy coaching and consulting. Okay. Legacy is huge to me. So I ask people all the time, what's your legacy? That's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah,
Lasting
yeah.
Legacy Coaching and Consulting. That's my company, and I'm working on getting that up and going again now that I have my doctorate. I will be pursuing a coaching certificate here soon. And Velma, I want to get into the industry that you're in. I want to reach out to people like you and help them based on what I've learned in my experiences.
Mm.
And we know that, institutional and educational knowledge coupled with experience and coupled the right way makes subject matter experts. And
Absolutely.
so I am very close to being a subject matter expert, especially in the leadership field. And I want to share that with people. I want to help people be the best versions of themselves. I know that people use that a lot today. Help people, be part of, or an organization be the best organization that they can be. And I think I can help them as I continue to learn from people like you, and others like you in the industry. So LinkedIn, my website will be up here,
Mhm.
hopefully within the next 6 months and maybe a year. And then getting this coaching certificate, and then getting my name out, and just trying to be part of organizations like yours to help others improve and just get better.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, listen, you are very humble because your experience and your education already, you are a subject matter expert. And folks listening in will, agree with me there. There's nothing we're waiting on. You are the subject matter expert, and you're helping, those that are in service for us go and make this transition and giving them a new future, which is only possible because you yourself have learned from other leaders, have the education, and have been willing to put that on paper, to come alongside them and to help guide them through it. So you're ready. You don't need a piece of paper or coaching certificate. You're already guiding and
thank you.
coaching folks, and
That's very
you're
kind.
subject matter experts. So,
Thank you very much. Thank you.
hey, thanks so much for watching another episode of Your Leadership Chat. I hope that you've enjoyed this video. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button here and tap that bell icon so that you never miss another episode. I hope too that you'll give us a thumbs up on the video for a like. And then if you feel led, please share the video with those who need to see it. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time on Your Leadership Chat. Bye for now.